Hello and welcome to this session. So in this session, we are working on a project. So we are developing an application called as Engineering Runbook Assistant or On-Call Assistant. Okay, so what is the business problem that we are trying to solve? Okay, so this is the application that you will see, this end application. So basically imagine that you are part of a production team and you are an on-call engineer. And so basically with an on-call engineer, right? So you have to work with multiple products or multiple projects, right? So every time that something fails in production, you are basically the first go-to person, right? So you need to basically check what is the error, whom to reach out, and all this, right? So in a company you might be working with like 10 12 projects, right? You will not be able to remember all of this. So what usually happens is we'll create a run book. So a run book basically contains all the instructions that are required to solve a problem. So it is, again, you can have a separate run book for separate project. Now imagine that sometimes the run books are like very lengthy, it's very heavy, right? So by the time that there is a production issue, you go and check the run book, you may not find that information because some of the run books are very heavy, right? So it takes a lot of time. So that's where the issue comes. Like if it takes a lot of time for you to basically get the information, then understand the information, right? Then by that time your priority will be like from high to urgent, and you might basically lose the SL, right? So in such cases what we could do is we could basically take that run book and we could basically put that run book in our application, and we could basically use it as a rack. Like we could ask questions on that run book, and then the LM will give you the answer. So this can be done like very quickly. You don't have to spend time. Within seconds you will get the answers, right? So that way, whenever something fails in production, you have access to your rack systems. You ask the question what it needs to do, it will fetch the information and you will do it. So that way, your SLA will remain consistent, right? So you will get everything done, at least the first step, right? You know what to do. The first step, it will be done within seconds. Okay, so that's the business impact, that's a business problem that we are trying to solve. So this is how your final application will look like. These are some instructions that we have. And so what we do is we'll basically drop a file. Either we are supporting PDF or text file, and then this is basically metadata, right? So metadata basically, like what file is it, and what type of the file it is, what is severe of some metadata we are basically attaching. So the first thing we need to do, we need to build the index, right? So we need to build the index so that it gets embedded, vectors are stored in the vector database. We are using the chroma db. And then when the user selects, so there are two tabs. First step is to basically drop the file, create the index. Second tab is where you actually ask the questions related to that. Okay, so there are two steps. Okay, so now if I go back to the, okay, before we go back to the before we go back, right? So I have uploaded a text file here which basically contains a run book. So it is an exciting file. It is a production heavy, so you can be, so we are going to use the same file, we can upload the same file. So what you need to do is you need to basically use this file, or you can take any of the files that you have and upload it. So this is a file that I created. So if I reveal in Explorer, right? So if I open this file, right, so you can see it's a pretty heavy file, it has a lot of information. So this is where, like, if something fails and if you want to search this information, it will take time. So this is on the AI agent platform, production incident response book, where the severity is high. On rotation call policy, we are using pager duty. Schedule is defined here. So this is the service overview. The AI agent platform runs customer facing and internal autonomous agents that plans, tasks, calls, tools, and returns results through a gateway. Production runs in Kubernetes namespace. AI agents cluster is prod US East 1. Okay, so very exciting, right? Very similar to how you will actually have the runbook. Okay, so these are the core components: agent gateway, agent orchestrator, agent worker, tool bridge, memory service, prompt registry, critical dependencies. LLM provides a Redis, Postgres, Pinecone, Vault Pass, customer impact services, public API, internal console, and the status page. What are the severity definition? Sev 1, complete outage or agents. Sev 2 is major degradation. Sev 3 is limited impact. And Sev 4 is minor issue. Okay, so incident response workflow: when a production alert fires or an engineer reports an agent misbehavior, step 1, we have to acknowledge it. Step 2, we have to triage. Step 3, we have to mitigate. Step 4, we have to resolve and follow. Okay, so I'm not reading all the details because it's a heavy document, so it will take a lot of time, but I'm just giving you the context, like how this run book looks like. Okay, so you can run this initial checks, and then for monitoring, these are the dashboards that you can monitor: Grafana dashboards, alert thresholds, logs, right? Then incident procedures. It has very good details like high latency, what happens; LLM provided errors, what happens; tools failures, what happens; what if the agent hallucinates or incorrect actions. So a lot of information is there, so we're not going to go through all of this, but this is a very heavy document, production run book document that you can use. Okay, so this is again placed here under the projects. You will see this here. It's under module 6, under this projects, here under the data, that you will see this here. So you can download this one, and what you can do is you can upload it. Okay, fine. So now what we will do is we'll go and before we start, so we'll do the project structure. We'll explain you the project structure. So as I give the demo, similar to how I explained the previous projects, right? So I'll give the demo. I will basically show you like where is the code, what is that code, and explain you how the code works. So that way you will basically know, visualize the output as well as the the input, which is your code, like which basically provides that output. Okay, all right. So this is a folder structure of similar project structure, right? Configuration LLM service, very similar to what we have. In the configurations, we basically added some embeddings. So I'll walk through that. LLM service, where we send the prompts for OpenAI or DeepSeek, whatever you have. Then we have document loader. So this is where, like, you need to upload this document, right? So some function needs to read this document, and then it has to convert into the LangChain objects, right? So document loader is that one. So vector store, this is where we basically do the indexing, chunking using the Chroma database. So right now you would see here there is no folder called Chroma database, but once we start running this and once we create index, right, you will see that a Chroma DB gets created. Okay. Then we have prompts, which defines the user and system prompts, guardrails, simple guardrails that we have, and rack pipeline. This is the brain, this is the orchestrator, which basically, this from here basically all the other files are interacted. Okay, and we under data we have our runbook main. This is a gradio function. This is where we put our all UI code, and this is where the actual workflow starts. Okay, and Chroma DB, it's not there, but as you index it, you will see the Chroma DB also here. Okay, fine. I have loaded this file, right? So now you can see here, this is basically the file that we so the UI that we have. Let me first walk through some of the code. So the config.py, this is where we read all the configurations from .env. So we have few additional things that we have defined. So like the OpenAI embeddings. So I talked about the OpenAI, right? Embeddings, right? We need to kind of embed the text, right? So for that, we are using the text embedding 3 small. Then we are basically checking, so Chroma persist directory. So basically to see like if the Chroma, do we want to persist or not, and then what is the chunk size. So a small definition like for the chunk size, the overlap also, right, and the top results, right. So these things we are creating here in the configuration. Okay, so and just giving the default. So we could have done that in the Python program also, but since these are configuration, I thought like we'll just put it here. So if you have to make any changes, like you want to increase the chunk size, or if you want to increase the chunk overlap or decrease it, this is one place you can increase. You don't have to touch the actual implementation code. Okay, so that is always a good practice. Okay, so configuration is done. We'll talk about LLM service, and again LLM service is nothing changes here. So we basically import the DeepSeek key, the model provider API key. We check if it is a OpenAI or DeepSeek, and then we retrieve this information, and this is where we call the LLM models, right? So call underscore LLM. So nothing different. So it's the same file that we have. Then we have guardrails. So guardrails, so we just have one simple check. So whenever user enters a question, right, we basically check if the question has any characters or not. If it doesn't, it is empty, then basically we'll send out a message saying, hey, please enter a question. Okay, a simple guardrails. You can add as many conditions as you want here, but here I'm just adding a simple guardrail here. Then what we have, we need to generate the prompt. So here's the prompt. So one is for the system prompt and one is for the user prompt. So this is a system prompt. So as always, as I said, right, the first step, the how you have to structure your prompt, and you can just go through the prompt engineering techniques as well. The amazing video that we have, we discussed about the prompt engineering techniques. But so what we always do is we start with the rule. Okay, AI, this is what you are, and this is the job that you need to do. Okay, so what is AI here? What is the rule? You are an engineering runbook assistant. Engineering use you during production instead to find procedures in index runbooks. Answer using only the runbook excepts provided. Here the rules use only the given context. Do not use outside knowledge. If the rules are listed, preserve order and include command exactly, then sure. If the answer is not in the context, say I could not find this procedure in the index. So this is important, right? So because LLM has a lot of information, generic information, but we don't want to use that. We only want to use what is there in the runbook. If you don't find that in the runbook, do not use your knowledge, right? You might have that knowledge, but I don't want you to use that knowledge. You just say that, hey, I did not find this in the runbook. Okay, don't use your knowledge. So that is what this says. Do not invert infrastructure details, URLs or commands. Okay, and the user prompt, user unbooked context. So this is a context block and the question, and provide a clear actionable answer based on only on the context table. Okay, so this is good. So we've seen config.py, guardrails, LLM service and prompts. Okay, so now I'll walk you through the let's start with the document loader.py. Okay, so document loader.py. Okay, so this is basically the simple program that we have, right? So the first thing, right, when we upload the document, right, so here you can see that uploaded path. So basically when we upload the document, it basically checks if the files is uploaded or not. If not, then basically it provides a message. Then what happens is once it is uploaded, right, it takes the path, it checks if it is a PDF file, or if it is a PDF file, it will use a PyPDF loader to read the file. If it is a text file, it uses a text loader. Okay, and then what happens is it will iterate through all the pages. It will basically grab the metadata, and if you do not have the documents, it will basically say we do not have any text. Okay, so this is a very simple thing. Basically we basically read the file and basically we add the metadata to it. So that's the only thing that the document loader talks about. Okay, so now if I go back, let's say there are two steps here, right? So one step is the document loader. Okay, so again where if I go back to the main, right, so let's go to the main. So actual thing starts here, right? So first is like this gr.blocks, engineer runbook assistant and everything, the instructions. This is what you see, right? The first step is basically upload this document, right? So if I go to this place, somewhere here, okay, yeah, step one, right? Upload index block. So this is the one, right? So this is where we basically check, uh, we basically upload the document. Okay, and so once this is done, right, then we have this where basically we have the metadata, like we have the text box, we have the drop down list here basically. So these are the values, right, though they are placeholders and values. So you will see here these are the values placeholders that come. So again, this is a Dropbox, this is a Dropbox. So this is basically for the document that you upload, right? You are basically giving some metadata, like you're giving what is the documentation name, what type of documentation it is, whether it's a runbook, playbook, incident clue, or what kind of priority this is, right? So these things we are basically providing it here. Okay, you can change this. So you can change this value, or you can just make changes to this name. So that is up to you. We are just providing the default values or placeholder. Okay. All right. So now see, let's let's add this first. So step one, we have seen, right? So agent runbook. So step one is to upload the file, right? So we have seen a document loaded. We have uploaded the file. Now what happens is build runbook index. Okay. So when I click on this build runbook index, right? So what happens? Okay. So again, let's go back to this. So somewhere we have built this. Okay. Okay. So button dot click. So build button, right? So this is what I have checked, right? So look, when I click on this build button, right? So what happens? So I have the output runbook index updated successfully, files uploaded 1, pages is 1, chunks is 41. This is a metadata, all this. Okay. Now you can ask the runbook questions in tab. So basically it has basically provided this step. Okay. Now if I go back to code, right, how all of this works, right? So the first step is like this is a build button, correct? So run build button. So you can see here build button is build runbook index. So you can see here build runbook index. So so what happens if you click? So when we click this, right, it will basically call this function, which is build wrap build index. Okay, so now these are the inputs that are provided, like what is uploaded file, what is the system input, what is the doc type, what is the severity input. So all these things, the metadata that we have, so all this metadata are collected, and what it does, it will basically call the wrap build index function. Okay, so if I check this, right, wrap index function, so what it is doing is basically it is basically calling this build vector index from uploaded files, and then it retrieving these messages, and whatever messages we get, it basically returns it. Okay, so simple. So now we need to check this particular thing, right? Okay, so okay, again there is something wrap reset index which will basically reset it. This is again called in the reset runbook. Then this is one thing. Then there is one more button, right? So step two, right? So we say this one, ask runbook assistant, right? So there's another button. So that, let's see. So we have this again, runbook. Okay, so this will basically run the ask runbook assistant. So this is actually called in the RAG pipeline. So here it will call. Okay, so this way, like, we have this, but let's go back, right? So we talked about this one, right? So build runbook index, right? So when you have this build runbook index, right? So what happens? Okay, so we need to go to the vector store for this. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so let's check this. This particular code is written somewhere here. Okay, so this is a function that it gets called, right, when you click on the build. Okay, build runbook. Okay, now it receives all this information, uploaded file path, what is the system name, doc, all this information. So that's something that we get it from those UI, right? So again, what we do is basically do a simple sanity check to see if this file is uploaded or not, right? And then if it is uploaded, what we do is we basically normalize this metadata. So normalize basically is a simple function where we're just cleaning it, we're just stripping it, that's all. Okay, and then what we do is we do the embedding. So we have the chroma directory, so you can see here chroma db here. So here it got created because indexing is done, so this chroma database here, this is got created. So now then we do the embeddings, right? So for the when you upload the file, right, so what you need to do, you need to do the chunking, you need to embed it, convert into the vectors, and then you have to store in the chroma database. So this embedding happens here. Okay, and then we load this pdf file, right? So what are pdf files or whatever documents that we have, so we load it. This is something that we have seen, right? So this is happening in the document loader, right? So we have already gone through that. It's a very simple thing with just loading the document. Then what happened is like this is a text file, right? So we basically do the splitting. So recursive character test splitter, the chunk size overlap and everything, which is coming from the config.py. So we do all of this, and then the chunks we split, the take the chunks, we iterate through the chunks, we tag the metadata for it, right? And then what we do is like the first once the chunk is done and we have the metadata everything assigned, then what we do is we store this into the vector database. So here it is chroma db, right? So this is basically where it is, like we just do condition to check if it is a none, if it is exists, then we basically store all these details in the vector database. Okay, and then when once this is done, we'll basically say index is true. This basically means that now the index is ready, the index is true, and we can basically do the search. Okay, of course, and this is basically the messages that we also put it here. So you can see here, these are the messages. Runbook update successfully, files uploaded, pages upload, we basically put it here. Okay, so this is actually coming from here. Okay, and then of course the reset runbook, like if you want to reset it, we'll basically clear it. So these are the things we basically, these things we use to kind of clear the chroma db. Okay, so this is basically our runbook. Sorry, this is basically how it happens in the vector store. Okay, so this is important. This is where the searching happens. So overall what happens is, we have two tabs. One is step one and step two, this one and this two. So step one, basically the files that we uploaded, chunks are created, they are embedded and stored in the chroma database. Step two is basically you ask questions, right? So it will basically find the similar chunks and it will pass to the llm. Okay, so we have seen how the chunking is done, embedding, and how we store. And within this vector store, we have another thing like search similar chunks. So this is where it takes the input, and this is where it basically does all the uh, search, right? So first thing is it has to ensure that the index is ready. So that's where, like earlier, we basically once we uploaded, we said like index is ready, right? Index, right? So here index, vector index somewhere here, yeah, true, right? So it basically does a check to see if the index is ready. If the index is not ready, then we'll just send a message saying that, hey, you need to click on the run build, build the run book index before we can do the search. Okay, so if that is there, we can then if it is there, then we can basically take all the top search and all the configuration details, and basically, so here you can see here system filter, right? So it says all our AI agent platform. So AI agent is basically the one we just uploaded. So basically what that does is, like if you ask a question, now you can search. If you may have like I might have uploaded AI agent platform one text, I might upload two more texts, right? So all of this will come. So if you want to search in a very specific one, you select this. If you want to search in all the indexes, then you select all. Okay, so that is what it means. And of course we do the similarity search. This is where the searching happens, and then what we do is in that results, we get the results, right? The chunks result. So we iterate through it, we get the metadata from there, and we basically append that, right? So we basically append it to these chunks. Okay, so this is what happens here. Okay, cool. Now finally, finally we basically will talk about the final thing, which is the rack pipeline. This is where the entire thing actually comes, right? Everything sits together. Okay. All right. So when the user asks a question, right? So here now till here we have covered, correct? So so step one we have covered. Everything is done. All these details are filled. Step two is basically where we ask the question. So when the user asks the questions, right? So when the user asks the question, it will go to this function, ask runbook. Okay. And then it will basically check if the index is ready or not. If the index is not ready, yes, these are the steps. Okay, you need to first say that a index is not ready. There are three steps. You need to upload the runbook document. Can be PDF, it can be text. Then you have to click build runbook index. Then you need to ask a question. Okay, if if it is ready, right, then we basically take the input question, we validate the question, we pass it to the validate user question, which is in the guardrails. We then it returns the message saying that that is valid or not. Then what we do is we search the question, right? We search the similar chunks with the question, we return that value. If we do not get any context, then we say, hey, no relevant runbook content is found. If we retrieve, so we do the similar search, we retrieve the information, right? We get the chunks. If we get the chunks, then what we need to do, we need to send that to the LLM for our final answer, right? So for that we generate a system prompt, we have a user prompt, and then we finally call the LLM with the system prompt, user prompt, and temperature, and we will send it on the, we will return the answer. Okay, so this is the end-to-end explanation of how the entire project, how the rack works, right? And where we all have the code and everything. So this way, this is an exciting project, right? So now what we'll do is we'll go to the demo. Okay, so we basically uploaded the file. Now we need to ask some questions. Okay, so what questions should we ask? Okay, this, remember, this is related to the the production run book, right? So let's ask a simple question. What should I do in the first 10 minutes when a production alert fires? Okay, so maybe you are new, you don't know, like, okay, some production alert has fired, I don't know what to do. So I'm just gonna ask this question like, hey, what is that I am going to do? Okay, so yeah, so provider tokens and everything we are displaying is fine. So in the first 10 minutes when a production alert fires, follow these steps in the from the triage process. Confirm customer impact using dashboard. So this is a dashboard. Check recent deploys. So it has some commands. Check provider status, open AI status page, Anthropic status page, identify blast radius, one agent, one tenant or platform, set severity and post, initialize summer channel. Okay, so great. So source, it is sourcing from this one. So great, right? So you ask the question, within seconds you are able to get the answers. Otherwise you have to go through all the I mean, the document that we have is a fairly simple document, small document, but in real world you might have very lengthy documents, right? Anyways, whatever the document, it will take a lot of time for you to go to the document, but here you're getting thing in seconds. Okay, now let me ask another question. How is one defined for the AI agent platform? So I wanted to understand this thing. How is one defined? So I believe it is 4 hours, but let's check. So one, a complete outage or agents executing an unsafe destructive actions at scale, all agents requesting failing, bypass confirmed, update incident agents every 15 minutes. Okay, response on page on call plus engineering manager within 5 minutes. Okay, so that is really, really bad. Okay, within 5 minutes you need to basically have the engineering manager on call. Okay, let's ask one more. What should I do if tool or MCP fails? Okay, you would have seen the document. In that it talks about the multiple tools, MCP and other stuff, right? So I'm just asking like, okay, what happens if MCP fails? What should I do? To address tool or MCP failures, follow this steps. Grafana tool health dashboard, identify failing tool name. Okay. Then for MCP server timeouts, some commands. Test the tool endpoint from bridgeport. If a single MCP server is down, restart it. If policy denies is spiking, then here's another prompt. Make sure to contact vendor support if the provider outage exists 30 minutes and fallback is insufficient. Okay, good. Excellent thing. Again, we got the response very fast, right? So this is great, right? Then let's do one more thing. How do I escalate? What do I escalate to? How do I escalate for a Redis issue? So I have a Redis issue. Okay. Now how do I escalate? Right. So let's check that. To escalate, you should escalate to data platforms on call. Cool. So there's an email provider, like you just escalate there. Okay, so simple thing. Now all these things, the things that I've asked, they are actually part of the document, they are available in the document. Okay, but if I don't have a question, like I'll ask a question, random question which you will not find in the document. Okay, like who is the manager for the AWS account for ABC company or BSC company, whatever it is. Okay, I know this information will not be present because it's not run book, right? So we don't have this information. So I could not find this procedure in the index run, right? So it does not, it did not invent anything, right? So if you ask something like who is the CEO of Apple, so LLM, this is generic information, LLM should have it, but we strictly said, boss, do not use your knowledge, just find it. If it is there in the runbook, give it. If it is not there in the runbook, just tell me I could not find this procedure, right? So this is what is happening. Okay, so this is how your rack systems works. So very exciting things, right? So this is a very good application. So if there is somebody here who is working in a production environment, and if you have to refer to multiple projects or multiple documents, you can build this, right? So you can build this. You may want to add few more guardrails. Otherwise, this works great. You can build this. You can build a UI out of this, deploy this, and this will be very exciting, right? So you can basically ask question, you can increase your productivity really well using this. All right, okay, so this is all I have. Particular project I was very excited for, and I hope you guys also share the same excitement. Now you can try with, I will share this production text file here, runbook, but feel free to try with your own text, your own PDF, see how this works, and just play around, right? So you will get the mental model, and based on this, you can get many more ideas. Like if so, I'm talking about the runbook, right? So, but the idea is you put a document and you retrieve the information. But if you are an HR, right, and if you want people to basically, instead of reaching out to you, you want to give a self-servicing tool. So this is a self-servicing tool. So all the HR documents, you can upload it, and you can create this function, or you can create this application. Your employees will basically search through that, right? So all this information, they'll get it from there. Either very exciting. There's a lot of applications. So do not always look like, okay, this is a project. Okay, I'm not in the production, I'm not a prod support guy, so I don't need this. But the point is, like, you get the mental model of it, like what is that we are trying to do, right? And how you can replicate this in some other use cases, right? So use that, right? Okay, we talked a lot, and we done some good work here, and I hope, again, I'm very excited. I hope you also share this, and yeah, I will see you guys in my next class then.